Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we're cracking open a really pretty significant announcement from the U.S. General Services Administration, the GSA.
Right. They're like the government's huge purchasing department, aren't they?
Yeah,
Landlords, procurement experts handle billions.
exactly. Billions. And our source today is, well, it's a GSA press release that lays out a major shift in how the government actually buys things.
Okay.
So our mission here is to unpack this change, specifically something they're calling transactional data reporting, or TDR.
TDR. Yeah.
Yeah. We want to figure out, why GSA is pushing it so hard now and what it really means for efficiency, transparency, all that.
And what's really interesting, I think, is that GSA seems to be tackling this long-standing challenge, right?
Yeah.
Getting a real picture of what things actually cost in the market.
Like actual prices paid.
Exactly. They need solid data, for pricing, trends, finding opportunities. And TDR is basically their tool for collecting that really granular data.
From companies selling through their big MAS program, the multiple award schedule.
Yeah, that's the one. The huge catalog of pre-negotiated contracts that agencies use.
Right, okay. And the big headline, the really big news from this release, is that TDR, it's not just a pilot anymore, it's not optional.
Oh, really? They're expanding it then?
Dramatically expanding it. So the rollout starts pretty soon, end of June 2025, with some new product and cloud categories. They call them SINs, special item numbers.
Okay, specific SINs first.
But here's the kicker. It's going to all SINs, like the entire schedule program.
Well, all of them.
All of them. And it becomes mandatory for basically everyone holding a schedule contract. That kicks in starting fiscal year 2026.
Okay, mandatory FY26. That's a massive shift.
Huge.
So why now? I mean, what's the big push? The press release must give some reasons.
It does. They quote GSA leadership, the acting administrator talking about using tech and data, building a more efficient government, cutting acquisition costs.
Standard goals, but how does TDR fit?
They're framing it as strategic, positioning data, right at the center of smarter buying decisions, kind of like how successful private companies use data.
Right, data-driven decisions. Makes sense.
And you also see the Federal Acquisition Service Commissioner, Josh Grunbaum. He highlights how having this detailed data like what was bought, what price, it empowers the contracting officers.
The folks on the front lines doing the negotiating.
Exactly, so they can negotiate better deals. The explicit goal is naturally better value for taxpayer dollars. TDR sounds like the engine for getting those insights.
It really does. And if you connect the dots in the source material, they seem to expect several key benefits from making this mandatory and universal.
Like what?
Well, one big one is driving best value through better competition.
How does that work? More data equals more competition.
The idea is, by collecting and analyzing all this transaction level data, GSA gets this unprecedented view of pricing trends, market dynamics.
Okay.
And they can use that insight to help shape negotiations, set pricing expectations across the board.
That makes sense. If they see what people are actually paying for similar stuff across lots of deals, they can benchmark offers better, push for more competitive prices.
Precisely.
Okay, what else? The press release mentions another benefit. Something about reducing burdens. That sounds a bit counterintuitive, adding a new report.
Yeah, that point's interesting, isn't it? The source actually claims TDR lowers the overall admin effort compared to the traditional reporting stuff for schedule contracts.
How so?
They suggest it replaces older, maybe more burdensome processes, like remember the commercial sales practices disclosures, CSP.
Oh, yeah. Where vendors had to show all their complex pricing relationships with commercial customers, that could be a lot of work.
A lot of work. So the promise here is that reporting simple transaction data, just the facts of the sale, is actually less effort overall.
So simpler data may be more automated.
Potentially saving vendors collectively tens of thousands of hours.
Yeah.
And maybe making the schedule program a bit easier to get into, especially for, say, smaller businesses.
Okay, that clarifies it. It's not just adding a report. It's presented as a trade-off. A potentially complex manual reporting thing for a simpler, maybe more automated data feed for each transaction.
Exactly. And the final piece they talk about is unlocking market intelligence. This isn't just about one-off negotiations.
More strategic level stuff.
Precisely. Having all this transaction data lets GSA analyze purchase volumes, see price variations, spot trends, maybe even strengthen supply chains by knowing where critical items are coming from.
Right, understanding the flow.
It really moves GSA towards being much more data-informed operationally.
Hmm.
beyond just processing individual contracts one by one.
Okay, so let's boil this down. If you're listening, maybe you're a vendor on the schedule, maybe a contracting officer, maybe just tracking government spending. What's the main takeaway here from GSA's angle?
Well, it seems clear GSA is betting big on data.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
big.
Yeah. They're making this transactional data recording mandatory for pretty much everything sold through the multiple award schedule starting FY26.
And the stated goals are pretty straightforward, right? Use this detailed sales data to get better prices
Cut down on the admin hassle by replacing those older methods.
and gain that strategic market intelligence. See the bigger picture.
It's definitely a significant evolution for how the federal government buys things, this big push towards data-driven procurement.
It really is. And GSA even says in the release something like, they rely on data much like our private industry partners. That framing is interesting.
It is. So, thinking ahead, building on that quote, this reliance on granular data, the tools it enables, what might this mean for the future, for that whole dynamic between government and businesses, not just in buying, but maybe other areas too?
That's the big question, isn't it? How does this change the relationship, the interactions down the road? Definitely something for you, the listener, to think about.